Hey, how's it going everybody? Today I'm back with another video and I'll be covering some post-legend battles in Holiday Cup. It goes without saying this will be the last video I'll be doing covering Holiday for two reasons. One, it's ending soon, and two, I hate it. A lot. With a passion. The reason for this is simple. In over 50% of the matches that I played, I've experienced nothing but Charmers, and Shadow Victory Bill, and people were saying to me that I would expect to find a lot of diversity. Not me, amigo. I did not see it. And yeah, I know some people enjoyed playing Holiday Cup, so to each their own in terms of preferences, but I just can't wait for it to end. So the team that I'm playing today is Altaria, Driftbloom, and Marowak, and I personally don't even think the team is that good. I was just playing it because I was just playing whatever, because I hit Legend, but I made it work. And I didn't make it work because I outplayed my opponent. I just played in because the whole RPS factor of Go Battle League kicked in full throttle, and I just got lucky. In the matches that I'm about to showcase, you'll see what I mean by that. So let's just get started. So Altaria into Marowak. Very favorable lead for me. And it doesn't look like they're switching out, so I'm assuming they're planning on sacking their Marowak. So they threw 5 Spire Spins. It's going to be a Shadow Bone. And at this point, I'm questioning myself, like, what am I doing? I'm farming energy for next season, and I let them throw another Shadow Bone. So I gotta shield this at the risk of potentially losing swap. It wouldn't KO, but it would put me in Fire Spin range. So now I decide to throw a Sky Attack, which is a big mistake. They don't shield, which is expected. They bring in a Frostlass. I Sky Attack immediately. And I'm planning on swapping out because there's no point staying in. I safe swap to Driftbloom, and they have an Obstagoon. So this is going from bad to worse. I just gotta spam as many Icy Winds as I can get off. And I gotta save the shield for Marowak, because if the Obstagoon gets a boost from the Night Slash, or Frostlass gets a Shadow Ball, it'll pretty much one-shot my Marowak. Counters are double resisted because of the Flying and Ghost type. So yeah, just spamming some more Icy Winds. Fortunately for me, they haven't gotten the buff. Fingers crossed, hopefully it doesn't happen now. No buff, which is good for me. And I'm able to get to one last Icy Wind, which is really good. I pull a shield, which is actually really good for me. The Obstagoon is heavily debuffed, so I bring in Altaria. They swap out to clear the debuff, and I just respond with my Marowak. Without a doubt, I have to shield this. They're not going to get to another charge move, so I automatically assume it's a Shadow Ball. And the Obstagoon is loaded. They have enough for 2 Night Slashes without a doubt. I'm going to throw the Shadow Bone because I'm running Fire Blast, so I want the chance at a debuff. And I get the shield. And fortunately for me, I get the defense drop. So this Night Slash will KO. I still have my Altaria, and hopefully I can Dragon Breath down. And I do. I feel like the game was a lot closer than it needed to be. I heavily misplayed the lead scenario, and my opponent almost capitalized on that. So good game, but really poorly played on my part. Altaria lead into Obstagoon, so another favorable lead for me. In this matchup, if the Obstagoon decides to stay in, the Altaria doesn't really need to shield unless they get the nice slash boost. And unless that happens, I just no shield it all the way through. So they're throwing another Night Slash here. I don't need to shield because they didn't get a boost. And this time, I can't make the same mistake I did the last match. I gotta throw some energy, which I'm gonna do now. So I throw the Sky Attack. Let's see if the opponent decides to shield or not. They don't. They let their Obstagoon go, which is good. And they bring in a Skarmory. Honestly, this is another mistake right here. I was planning on safe swapping, so I kind of instinctively threw my Sky Attack. I should have banked it. I bring in Drifblim. And they decide to bring in Marowak, which is an interesting choice. A Marowak into a Drifblim isn't the greatest response, considering I'm slightly ahead on energy. And at this point, they're just playing the 50-50 game, which I like to call it. So as long as I farm enough energy to a Shadow Ball, I can play the bait game with them. And it's up to them to basically call it or shield it. So I'm throwing another Icy Wind. Let's see what the opponent does. And they shielded again. So at this point, I got both shields, and now I can just Shadow Ball confidently. I will definitely shield this. I can throw a few more hexes because they're energy dry, but I don't want to risk it too much, so I'll just throw the Shadow Ball now. And their last Pokemon, Skarmory, which they've already shown. At this point, the game is pretty much over. I'm getting this Icy Wind off, I'm going to debuff them, and even if they have 100 energy, they're not going to be able to KO all my Pokemon. So they Sky Attack here, which is perfectly fine. I'll just bring in my Marowak. And since they're debuffed, a Brave Bird doesn't even come close to KOing me. I was trying to catch a move, but even if I didn't catch one, the game would have been over regardless. So, good game. So, on to the third match. An Altaria into a Shadow Victory Bell. You love to see it. So, they safe swap to a Stunfisk. And as you can see, based on my team alone, this Shadow Victory Bell pretty much has no play, but unfortunately they don't know that. So I can just stay in with Altaria. So I throw the Dragon Pulse. Let's see if they decide to shield or not. And they decide to shield, which does make sense. They want to have a chance at winning swap back, but it's very unlikely. So I get hit with another discharge. Fortunately for me, they are using Mud Shot instead of Thunder Shock, so those are resisted. I throw another Dragon Pulse, and I get both shields. So they really want to try to win swap. Unfortunately, me being up 2 shields and them having a Victory Bell does not help their cause. In order for them to win this game, they essentially need to have a Pokemon that can cover my Marowak and Drifblim. So I bring in my Marowak, and the reason for this is I'm running Fire Blast on my Marowak, so in a no-shield scenario, that can come in quite handy. So it's better to get a head start on farming my energy now. So they bring in Shadow Victory Bell, which is a little confusing. But at this point, if Shadow Victory Bell is their response to my Marowak, I'm assuming whatever they have in the back is worst, or they're just, you know, stalling. And they have a lowland Sandshrew, which is a little surprising. Something I don't expect to see too often in Holiday Cup, but yeah, this game is over. So, as you can see, I've been getting really lucky with the leads, and these team comps are not helping my opponents at all. So that was the end of the third match. Good game to my opponent. On to the fourth match. Altaria into Altaria. Okay, so this matchup is obviously IV dependent. It depends on the IVs on your Altaria. But for me, I just go immediately for the Sky Attack. My opponent decides whether they want to shield or not. They shield the Sky Attack. So in this case, I will match them. I will also shield. So basically, it's a race to the Sky Attack. Well played on my opponent. They swapped right when I got to the Sky Attack. It's very easy to keep track of in the mirror matchup because you just watch your own energy. So they're basically at a Sky Attack on their end, and they took it with their Stun Fisk, so I'm at a slight disadvantage. So I get the Icy Wind off. This will do about 45%. Unfortunately, they get their discharge off before I manage to get to my Icy Wind. Yeah. Since I know they have Mud Shot, I'm just coming in with Altaria. They need to throw energy to KO me. I'm just using Altaria as a third shield, quote unquote. I just wanted to absorb all the energy. And they immediately swap into Shadow Victory Bell, which is just terrible for them. I need to throw the Shadow Bone because I can't afford to shield a Leaf Blade. And I know that their Altaria is almost at a Sky Attack. So I really need to save my shield for that. So I throw the Sky Attack, I shield, and it's going to come down to a fast move game. I can't afford to throw energy because I won't have 2 moves, and they still had 1 shield up. But I fast moved the Stun Fist down, and GG. That's the end of the fourth match. The last match. Another Shadow Victory Bell. So, yeah, Shadow Victory Bell has no play against this team whatsoever. I could have swapped him to my Driplim. The counters do nothing, and Vigoroth usually runs Body Slam and Bulldoze, so the charge moves really don't threaten. But I decided to stay in. In hindsight, I probably should have switched to Driplim, but I'm just doubling up on the Sky Attacks. I'll throw 1 Sky Attack and then I will switch. It must have been a fake CMP. Yeah, I catch the Body Slam, I switch to Driplim. As you can see, it barely does anything. And I'm just gonna overfarm on this Vigoroth. They bring in an Obstagoon, so I'm just gonna spam Icy Winds immediately. And this is looking very grim for my opponent. They still don't know I have a Marowak in the back, so their Victory Bell has very, very little play. Yep, just spamming the Icy Winds. At some point, they're going to have to start shielding. And as I decide to shield this, I'm at an Icy Wind, so it does make sense. I just want to get it off. And I hex down the Obsidian. So they bring in Shadow Victory Bell. I Icy Wind. I assume that they're going to shield this. I get the last shield. And I just swap. I'm not going to get to another charge move. And yeah, this is pretty much GG. A Bulldoze is barely going to do anything. It's just a terrible move in general. I don't need to shield, I know that. I could shield, but I know it's not going to threaten me. I farm down this Vigoroth. And lo and behold, Victory Bell again. And it's about to get roasted. The most satisfying feeling ever, while blasting a Shadow Victory Bell. So, good games to my opponents, and very, very easy, quote-unquote, 5-0. And I'm not saying that because I feel like I outplayed my opponents. It's literally just good leads and like the whole blind aspect of GBL. I know a lot of people have some gripe with it. You know, you can have a really solid team or, you know, really solid skills, and yeah, that's sometimes not good enough. And you know, at this point in the video, you guys are probably thinking, hey Chan, you suck. You only won those games because you got a really good lead. But bonus clip time. So, I just decided to throw this in here and show you guys that if you know what you're doing, you can overcome even terrible leads. But I'll be completely honest, when I looked at this match, the opponent completely misplayed. They were a little overzealous, or they just got too complacent, and you'll see what I mean by the end of the match. So Altaria into Wigglytuff. Very, very terrible matchup for me, so I gotta swap out immediately. I say swap into Drifblim. My personal philosophy is I never want to bring in my best counter to anything immediately. I always want to bring in the middle Pokemon, and that happens to be Drifblim in this team comp. I throw the Icy Wind, and they swap to Stunfisk, which makes sense. They threw a couple of charms, chipped me down, and yeah, it's not looking too good for me. So I let my Drifblim go, and I come in immediately. I don't want to wait out the switch clock. I want to try to get as much chip damage as I can, and as much energy as I can. And they're just going to spam discharges. I didn't get an Icy Wind off, so they're doing the normal amount of damage. So I throw the Dragon Pulse. And they shield it, surprisingly. It's a little surprising considering they have a Wigglytuff, but interesting choice on their part. They throw another Discharge. And they aggressively swap to Wigglytuff, which is actually really surprising in my case. So I'm just going to spam Bone Clubs. They throw their energy, obviously a play rough, so I'm going to shield. It's resisted, but I need to start shielding something, and I'm going to most likely commit to the farm down. So they bring in Stunfisk again. They shield the Shadow Bones, so at this point, they bring in Stunfisk, which is almost, you know, relatively dead. And they were behind on energy too, so if they're shielding and they're trying to get rid of this Marowak, they're kind of telegraphing that they may essentially be weak to Marowak in the back. It's hard to say. They have a Marowak. So this Shadow Bone's going to do a decent amount, but it's not going to KO them. And fortunately for me, I banked a Sky Attack, and this is going to KO the Marowak. So this is going to be GG. And honestly, if the opponent just played it out naturally, they easily could have won this game. But they made a risky play, and it just didn't pay off for them. So I feel like my opponent made a mistake, and I just took advantage of that. I don't want to say that I severely outplayed them, but yeah, I'm just taking advantage of a mistake and turning it towards my favor. So yeah, as you can see guys, this team is definitely not something I would recommend. It's not great. It has a lot of flaws against a lot of things that you'll see commonly in Holiday Cup, but you know, a lot of my success in this set was the fact that I just had good leads. And that's how GBL is sometimes. Sometimes you just get really good leads and you just gotta take the reign and pull ahead. But yeah, hopefully you enjoyed the video. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and comment. Let me know what you think, and I'll catch you in the next video. Adios.